I smell like beef.
I smell like beef.
I smell like beef.
I smell like beef. This is a Hot Dog is a Sandwich, the #1 food podcast on this YouTube channel.
Ketchup is a smoothie.
Yeah, I put ice in my cereal, so what?
That makes no sense.
Hot dog is a sandwich.
A hot dog is a sandwich.
What?
Welcome to our podcast, A Hot Dog is a Sandwich, the show we break down the world's biggest food debates. I'm your host, Josh Scherer.
And I'm your host, Nicole Anaidi.
And Nicole, today we are arguing about what the best way is to take a full living animal and then run it through a series of band saws and then take small blades and carve out its flesh into little gobbets that we like to cook and eat.
Yeah. What's the best cut of steak?
We're talking about what's the best cut of steak, but that's how you do it. I actually just watched a really incredible video. Shout out to the Bearded Butchers on YouTube. Julia made me watch this. It's like an hour-and-a-half video where they take an entire cow and they show you, they draw out like a cow on a chalkboard and then they circle all the parts and they're like, we're going to show you how it goes from a full animal down to all of its like component parts and primal cuts. And it's very cool. So I got cuts of steak on the brain.
Cool.
You and I both equally love steak. I
Love
famously am a
steak.
big fan of just sitting down and eating a plain steak.
Me
just
too.
seasoned with salt. No, I'm kidding. I hate it. It's one of my least favorite
Oh,
foods.
really? I love doing. You hate steak?
That's
so inhuman of you.
No. I don't like the American canon of steaks. I personally find to be a little bit boring. And also the fact.
Boring.
Well, hear me out. There's so many people that are like, you shouldn't ruin a good steak with spices and sauces. All you need is salt and pepper and a little butter.
Sometimes that's true.
It's perfectly fine. I enjoy it. I sit down to a nice steak and I have a good time. But it's like never my go-to. It's never something that I crave. However, the cuts of steak, the ones that you would see outside of a steakhouse, those are also incredibly fun. So we're gonna get down into the nitty-gritty of that. But like your first instinctive answer, what is the best cut
Why are you
of
hitting the
steak?
table so much?
I don't know. I was going to do it for emphasis, but it didn't seem too much.
You don't need to do the emphasis on that. My favorite cut of steak of all time is a ribeye steak.
Oh, so original. You and 61%, we actually have the data. They did a big poll. About 61% of people said that ribeye was their favorite cut of steak.
It is.
Why is it your favorite cut?
It's marbled really well. I think it holds salt really well. It's delicious. It's just my go-to. It's easy.
How long have you been a ribeye queen? Because I'm fascinated by the rise of ribeye. Ribeye, like, again, this is the most common answer, and people do love it.
Well, I found out that filet mignon is used a lot in like Persian cooking, like in kebab and stuff. And I kind of like poo-pooed it. Because I'm like, if it's like, it's delicious and I love it, but it's just sliced filet mignon and then skewered and then cooked over coals. So once I found out that filet mignon is barg kebab, I was completely turned off by it. And then I went through like the other cuts like ribeye and New York and like T-bone and all that stuff. And ribeye just speaks to me the most.
Have you ever had, so that's interesting one that you kind of grew up on so much filet mignon.
A lot.
Which is filet is like what? It's cut from the tenderloin,
So it's the
right?
tenderloin. So if I'm a cow, these are my front hooves.
No, I'll do it.
Oh, you want to be my okay. So if this is a cow, this is the front of the cow, this is the back of the cow. The filet mignon is down the set. The filet mignon is down the center right over here, and it's the tenderloin, and it's a part of the tenderloin. Was that a good explanation?
I think so. I feel
okay.
My tenderloin feels tender. Yeah.
And the reason why it's so tender is because there's no actual movement, and the intramuscular stuff doesn't move as much, so it's like really beautiful and tender and soft.
Yeah, that makes sense, but it's also not fatty. Like
It's
filet
not
mignon tends to be a very
fatty.
lean steak.
Incredibly lean, but incredibly tender because of the lack of movement.
There's a couple. So I associate filet mignon with like Wolf of Wall Street era.
Yeah, I think of the Titanic.
The Titanic, yeah. They were serving they served Tornados Rossini, I believe.
Yeah, like what are those like medallions? You know, when
yeah.
they're like, oh, steak medallions.
Yeah, and like back then, I think I always grew up. For my dad, right? My dad was like an absolute boomer who came into like adulthood during the Reagan era, where it was like, this is what it means to have like a luxury food culture, and that luxury food culture is simply filet mignon. Like that was it. That's the end all. It's
a fancy ass name. Yeah.
Also,
yeah.
I don't believe they use that term in France at all to describe that cut of steak.
It's just a tornado.
I don't think it's a tornado. I think it's
Filet de boeuf.
Probably just filet de boeuf, right? Because mignon means like small and petite.
Yeah.
Right? Like kind of
Mignon.
like
Yeah.
mignon.
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 You sound like an alien.
What do they say? They're like banana or something. They're like the minions are like. Oh.
Banana.
I love filet.
This is a serious podcast.
I love filet.
Good for you.
But here's the thing.
I don't care about it anymore.
No, most people don't. Filet mignon, though, is the second most common answer when it comes to favorite cut of steak.
Mm-hmm.
We were not able to gather data over time of watching ribeye pass filet mignon in popularity. But like anecdotally, I'm willing to say that is absolutely true. That as a society, for whatever reason, and I have a general idea of why, we have watched filet mignon decline and ribeye rise up in the same way that we've seen breakfast cereal sales decline, and you can see yogurt sales immediately cross axes with it. I think we've seen. That's just my favorite example of like a substitute good in
Interesting.
food.
Okay.
Just like as people ate less cereal, they ate more yogurt because it's like healthier and has protein.
Is that what
and
it is?
probiotics.
Okay.
That's what I think it is. But for the filet mignon thing, I think people are now foodie culture is less about pure like wealth and status.
Sure.
And the status comes from your knowledge, right?
Sure.
So for people to be able to say filet mignon's boring because it doesn't have the marbling and it doesn't have the intramuscular fat and it doesn't have the flavor and character of a ribeye, I think to me now that gives you a certain amount of like status within like, the foodie sphere.
Interesting.
You're more interesting for saying that ribeye is your favorite steak despite it being the most popular. And filet mignon, you're seen as like gauche because, it's expensive for the sake of being expensive.
I never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
But maybe, so because I like a ribeye, I'm a hipster.
A little bit, but
it's true. It's
but
the
now
best.
by being a hipster, you are doing the least hipster thing that you can do.
By liking the most popular cut of steak.
Correct. Because it's the most popular because it was once hipster.
Okay, wait.
And now it is not.
Hold on.
Yes, go on.
You're throwing out a lot of terms right now. What's your favorite cut of steak?
Bavette.
Oh my God.
No.
Get out of town.
Okay. If I really do love filet mignon.
Okay.
And especially if somebody can cut a bone-in filet.
I've never had a bone-in filet.
Bone-in fillets are really great.
Wow, no way.
But I like don't go to a lot of steakhouses, right?
Yeah.
And one of my favorite beef eating experiences is Korean barbecue. That's one of my favorite ways
sure. But would
to
you
experience steak.
What do you mean? Like raw, like the raw preparation of steak?
Wait, hold on. Nicole, when you go to a Korean barbecue restaurant, they give you the raw meat. You're supposed to cook it. Have you just been
we've
eating?
gone to Korean barbecue
Have you just
together.
been eating it raw?
Shut up. We've gone to the Korean barbecue restaurants together, and you get that yukoi. Isn't that what it's called?
Yukoi. Yeah, yukoi.
Is it yukoi raw steak?
That is raw steak. We did. Okay, so once we
I'm not
went.
crazy. I know how to go to Korean barbecue. I've been going for like a long time.
This one time we went to a Korean barbecue restaurant, and I ordered a form of Korean beef tartare. But it came out like still pretty frozen.
I liked it.
Yeah, it was good, but also it was
it.
much too large of a portion, and nobody else wanted to eat it except for like me and a little bit of Nicole. And
a little bit.
I ended up eating like a pound of raw beef. The fact that I didn't. Yeah. Anyways, I do love hanger steak.
Hanger steak, okay, underrated.
It's an underrated steak. A lot of butchers do not. A lot of single animal, like ethical butchers, they do not want to serve hanger steak. Maggie, I'm getting to that. Why are you impatient? So a hanger steak, a lot of single animal ethical butchers don't want to serve it because there's only one of them that exists in the cow. So it comes from like the diaphragm area. It literally just kind of hangs there. They used to call it a butcher's steak because
it was for the butcher.
It was for the butcher. He was like, I'm taking this home, feeding my family. But hanger steak has a very, very... It doesn't move a lot, but there is still a lot of fat and connective tissue.
Unctuous.
Super
I
unctuous.
love it.
It's almost got like a loose muscular structure to it.
That's true. When you cut it, it has like, it almost looks like they're put together by meat glue when you cut through it.
Yeah,
Do you know what I'm talking about?
It's like almost flaky, like a fish.
Yeah, it's flake. It's crazy.
It's got fish flesh. It's a cow steak with fish flesh.
I must say, the hanger steak is my favorite with steak frites. Whenever I get steak frites, a hanger steak is my ideal cut. I don't know if it's related to the entrecote at all.
No. Entrecote is French for ribeye.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Also, Cool. So I've just been burnt by too many ribeyes because I've when I've tried to go have those fancy steakhouse experiences, even when I cook for myself a fancy steakhouse experience, sometimes you have those nights where you're like, I'm gonna cook a big old steak, and you make a little cream corn, a little cream spinach, you do a little twice baked potato.
I don't do that.
Why not? You don't cook for your husband? You don't provide for your
Kosher
husband?
steaks are horrific.
Yeah, I get
and
it.
I'd rather not. But when I go to my parents' house, I like semen like Bobby Filet, Emerald Lagasse. They love it.
That sounds so funny.
It's a good
You're
time.
like, bam.
Yeah, they really like
it.
it.
And then Emerald pops up and sends you a cease and desist.
And then my dad says, what does he say? He says, make hollandaise with it. And I'm like, steak and hollandaise, Dad?
That's the béarnaise sauce is,
Yeah.
That's the steak condiment.
And then he's like, I want hollandaise with my steak and asparagus. And I'm like, okay, Dad, chill.
You know how I can't separate my own answers from how I want to be perceived by people?
Is that true?
Yeah. Like, I don't know if I, for instance, like black coffee, which I'm drinking right here. I don't know if I enjoy the taste of black coffee or if I was socialized to like it. What are you drinking?
This is a flat white with oat milk.
It's not really a flat white, though.
It's a flat
You
white?
push the flat white button on the espresso maker in the office?
Yeah.
There's no way that's like a flat white has to do with like a ristretto espresso pull and like
It is a ristretto.
It's a ristretto. Oh,
Yeah,
they got a ristretto button.
There's a ristretto
I'm sorry, I didn't
button.
realize they had a ristretto button. I don't know.
Just have a sip.
To be
Just have
clear,
a
I have
sip.
no idea what that means.
Just have I know what a ristretto is. It means restrained.
Oh God, that's what that tastes like.
Hater. You're a certified hater.
You know what the new hipster cut of steak is that I genuinely love?
Hipster cut of steak. I'm gonna think.
It's not. No, it's hipster in the new definition where
let me
everything.
think.
Okay,
Let me think.
She's thinking, folks. Nicole's thinking. You can't hear her, but I'll be her internal monologue.
Okay, go for it.
Hipsters. What do I know about them? The age of the beanie and the man bun and the beard is out, and now hipsters are unironically wearing metal band T-shirts from the 2000s. So he's probably in like a Deftones shirt.
Pearl necklaces.
And like, pearl necklace. Do you say pearl necklaces? Yeah, probably a pearl necklace. Some like ironically ugly sunglasses. Maybe some bordering on Jenko baggy jeans.
Flank.
What?
Flank.
No, not flank. Well, but flank. No, that was a good guess.
I love flanks.
But kind of in this like retro foods are coming back. People's palates are getting simpler. There is a workman's steak that I grew up eating that I have gained.
oyster steak.
What's an oyster steak?
It's like a weird cut.
Yeah, there's a bunch of weird cuts that like kind of
Yeah.
exist regionally, but no, top sirloin, dude.
Sirloin.
Top sirloin has pound for pound to me the best beef flavor because when we're talking about steaks,
Sure.
it's not just the marbling and the structure and all that we're talking about. There are distinctly different flavors to different cuts of
That's
beef, right?
very true. Yeah.
Filet mignon is. I get when people say it doesn't have as much beef flavor, yada yada. But to me, it's a very clean
Clean.
flavor.
I was gonna say clean beef flavor. Sorry.
Clean beef. It's lean beef. It's
Yeah.
tender. You know, I understand the criticisms against it. Top sirloin to me though has this like almost metallic brightness
Bloody.
to it. It's a bloody
It tastes
good
like blood.
steak.
Yeah.
And I think maybe I don't love hefty beefy flavor as much as a lot of other people.
I love extremely beefy flavor. I think ribeye extracts. I think the fat. I'm sorry. I have a little bit of a cough.
Got it.
It tastes like tequila. I think ribeye, I think the meatiness and the fattiness come together to create this really exceptional signature beef flavor. That I think beef needs fat in order for the flavor to be amped up. And ribeye does that for me.
I buy that.
Okay.
I guess that's
You don't
what I
trust
go.
me?
No, sorry. I was thinking about the. Okay, I think about the
Fat
internal.
flavor, right?
Sure, but no, fat isn't flavor. I don't know why people say that. Fat is
It helps improve.
Fat is it's a vehicle for flavor, right?
Yeah, it's up.
So there's
the elevator up.
Sure, but there's like literally a scientific debate about whether or not fat should be considered one of the modalities of taste, right? So we have like salt, sour, sweet, like umami is kind of there. And then what's the other one? Bitter. So like the 5 dimensions of taste. Some people think that fat should be within there because you can kind of taste. Well, there's an argument of
It's a carrier.
can you taste fat or can you only sort of sense it and that alters other tastes?
Ooh, I wonder if you can like take a fat molecule and like
Pure
and
fat.
like see if you can separate fat from like the texture of it and see if that has a taste. Scientists, get on it, stat.
Also, any butchers out there, I'm sorry for us talking about, we don't know nothing about butchering animals. We know like general parts.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But this isn't like the hardcore, like, and this comes from the chuck roll
We are
haunch
not.
portion. No, this is
we're
about
not
eating it.
hardcore butchers, but we do love a good steak.
We do love a good steak. Ribeye, one of the things that bothers me is probably the single best bite of beef on the cow is within a ribeye, but it is not the ribeye itself.
The bone?
And I think, no, I don't. But is the bone the best bite? Am I eating the bone?
I always eat the bone.
You eat the bone?
When I go out, I'm the bone sucker.
Yeah, but you suck the bone. You don't eat the bone.
I like chew on the bone.
Yeah, but you're not like getting bone shards in your mouth like the way a dog.
I don't eat a whole bone.
Like if a dog eats a chicken wing and then it might lacerate its colon on the way out.
You're
not doing that with the ribeye bones.
No, but you know the bone.
You suck the bone. We're both big bone suckers.
It's like corn on the cob, but with the fat and the yummy gristle.
I think ribeye should be separated into multiple cuts because I think the spinalis, the ribeye
bit?
cap.
Yeah, the cap. Mm-hmm.
And also, if you're cooking a ribeye, the cap is on the outside, so it's going to cook differently than, the actual, like, what is that, eye of...
The eye.
The eye? It's the eye, right? Yeah, the cap, the spinalis, and there's the eye in the middle. And there's probably other little parts around it.
What's that steak that Tom and Jerry used to eat all the time that was actually like an eye round? Is that called an eye round steak?
Yeah, I have round.
I really want to eat one of those, and I've never seen it like in a butcher's counter.
It seems very old school to me. But do you know what I'm talking about? That ribeye cap is the single best bite of steak in the entire cow. And
no.
And I've had like we were talking about earlier, right? A cow is a big puzzle, and that like its primal cuts and its subprimal cuts.
Can you eat dairy cows?
Yeah, I've eaten like 5-year-old dairy cows. Pretty cool.
Sorry, continue.
Okay, so anyways, the way that when we talk about ribeyes and fillets and strips and porterhouses and all that, that's just one way to figure out the puzzle of how to cut meat out of a cow.
Yeah, sure.
You go to other countries, they have spectacular cuts of steak that don't necessarily exist here.
That's true.
And I've been to a restaurant where they butchered their ribeyes differently, so they just sheared off the entire spinalis and served that as a steak. And that's probably maybe the best steak I ever had. It was at Hinoki and the Bird, dude. Hinoki and the Bird. Why is that restaurant so good and nobody talks about it?
Hinoki.
Are they dead? Are they still around?
They're around. They were actually like in Century City, right where we were yesterday.
So there's a restaurant in Century City in California, Los Angeles, where we're from. And I went there to get a burger because they had a happy hour burger. The only parking option was an $18 valet.
It's horrible.
I was so mad.
I was so mad.
I was like, do I get a coupon? Do I get a coupon for $18 off my burger now? Because I parked here? Anyways.
It's the worst part about that restaurant. There's no parking.
But like, that's an incredible cut of steaks. I'm saying these things that we think we know as steaks, which I get, you go to a grocery store in America, that's likely what they're serving. But you can figure out how to butcher a cow in many different ways than they do in other countries, and they got some good ass cuts.
Sure, I'm a big picanha fan.
Picanha is one of the world's great cuts of beef.
It's beautiful.
Is it a steak necessarily? I don't exactly know. What's the difference between a steak and a cut of beef?
I went to an all-inclusive resort in Cabo, and I had a picanha steak. It was pretty damn good. I did have to shave the whole entire fat layer off because it wasn't properly rendered, but it was pretty damn good.
Well, so if you're cooking picanha properly, right? And this is like another...
Low and slow on a spit. Right?
Exactly. Yeah. You're cooking it on the churrasco.
Yeah.
Right? You're cooking it skewered over an open flame, and that flame... So picanha it comes from part of the sirloin, right?
Mm-hmm, yes, top sirloin, I believe.
Yeah, and so it has a beautiful beefy flavor that we all love.
It's top sirloin.
But the best part about it is you butcher it in a way that you have a fat cap fully protecting all that meat.
It's ridiculous.
You curl the fat cap around.
To make a C.
To completely protect it.
Yeah.
And so then all that fat is absorbing all that heat.
It's beautiful.
Another one of my problems with ribeyes when you cook it medium rare, to me, the fat in the middle is too thick. There's several inedible bites of a ribeye to me. I'm not eating that whole steak. Are you? Or you're leaving fat on the plate?
I leave fat on the plate.
Right?
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
And I enjoy fat. I'm certainly not a particularly health conscious man.
Sure.
But there's too much fat for it to properly render. But something like picanha with all that fat, all the fat is absorbing all that heat. But it's rendering slowly.
But I'll say this: a well done, not like cooked well done, but a well created ribeye steak is worth all of those other crappy experiences with it, in my opinion. A wonderful ribeye can like change the way you think about food.
Have I just not had my Messiah ribeye yet?
I don't think so. I've had mine.
Where's your Messiah ribeye? What's the best ribeye you've ever had?
Bar Moruno.
Really?
Best ribeye I've ever had.
A Spanish Pinchas restaurant, maybe.
And a gin bar.
Pinchas and a gin bar, and I believe they make their own vermouth in house.
Yeah.
That's cool.
And they do their own gin blends too. They have a salmon gin.
How did they cook? They have a salmon. Wait, what?
A salmon infused gin.
Why do they have a salmon infused gin?
I don't know, but I didn't get it.
Gross.
I know. I think it's because some people cure their gravlax with juniper berries.
Oh, that makes sense.
It's like a through line. What did they do? You're going to laugh. It was literally cooked and then olive oil, like medium rare, sliced on a bias, olive oil, salt, and pepper.
How big was the portion? Like what?
I want to say it was the size of like.
And how thick?
I want to say it was about yay.
Okay, about
Yay.
like inch and a half thick ribeye.
And then I want to say it was about my palm and a half. So it was one of my palms and then another one of my palms. So like, yay.
Was there any acid on there? They seem like a place that would put acid on their steak. No.
You don't need
why'd they put olive oil on it?
I don't know.
Interesting.
But it was beautiful and it was delicious and I can't wait. Every single person I talk to, I'm like, you have to go to this place and you have to get the steak because it's my personal favorite.
So I looked up the definition of a steak, which this seems very silly, but we're talking about the difference, like, because I don't think I would consider picanha like a steak.
Would you consider prime rib a steak?
No. Prime rib to me is the opposite. Prime rib is a roast, right?
It is, correct.
And so looking up, and again, dictionary definitions don't really mean anything, but this says high quality beef taken from the hindquarters of the animal. Not all steaks come from the hindquarters, by the way, but typically cut into thick slices that are cooked by broiling or frying. So this seems like a very old school sort of definition.
Very.
But I think it's kind of intuitive what a steak is and isn't, right? It's an individual cut that you are like cooking and intending to serve as opposed to something like a chuck roast, right?
Yes, I agree.
You're cooking that whole piece or you're breaking it down into small bits and then you're cooking that.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a nebulous definition, but I don't think I consider picanha a cut of steak necessarily.
I had a picanha steak. I had picanha that was cooked like a steak.
Cooked as a steak. Yeah, that makes sense.
I had that, but I would not consider Brazilian barbecue picanha a steak.
No.
No.
Well, this is one of my reasons for saying that I think steak is overrated.
I don't think it's overrated. Why?
I love beef. I love cow meat. But I think I like skewering meats and cooking them like that. Like, I think that's a better way to cook beef. I think picanha represents like maybe the best in beef cookery that the world has to offer. That and
I'm here, yes.
Korean flour cut.
Is that what you were trying to get to this whole time?
Korean flour cut
What
beef.
is Korean flour cut?
It is the one Korean Hankook steak.
Okay.
That's their beef?
I don't know.
Hankook beef. It's like the Korean version of Wagyu.
Okay.
That's an oversimplification. But anyways, you go to Korean barbecue. Park's Barbecue is like probably maybe the fanciest Korean barbecue restaurant in Los Angeles.
Okay.
But not like overtly fancy, just very, very good and high quality stuff. But they had an American Wagyu flour cut steak.
What is flour cut? I can't find it on the internet.
Korean flour beef. I need
trying.
to know what part it actually comes from. So it is kotsal in Korean.
Kot.
But it is cut in a way where it is just like the most incredible marbling I've ever had. Here, look, check that out. So I think technically it comes from the ribeye.
Wow, it's like I want to say finger steaks almost.
Kind of, but they're cut in those like small
it's
portions,
almost like
very thin.
a Post-it note of steak.
Yeah, damn right.
It looks really good. The marbling on that is gorgeous. So that's your favorite.
Yeah,
but it's a small piece.
Yes,
small
correct.
Piece.
So I don't even know if you could consider that a steak.
What is that? A steak for ants? It's super small, but I understand why you like it so much. I think it's because it's so delicate, and you get each piece cooked to your liking instead of just a big hunk of beef. I love big hunks.
What the hell's a baseball steak?
Oh, it's a steak that you get from a crappy place for like $15. A baseball steak is a steak.
So it's a center cut of beef taken from the top sirloin cap. Steaks differ from the sirloin steaks at the bone and the tenderloin. I don't know why it's called a baseball steak, but it was made famous in Training Day, and that's my least favorite cut of steak. Because in Training Day, Denzel Washington says, go down to Pacific Dining Car, get yourself a baseball steak.
Pacific Dining Car, they closed.
They closed. They used to be open 24 hours, and I used to go there at like 3 in the morning. And if after midnight, the Training Day baseball steak, they had it on the menu as that, was 50% off, and I'm a sucker for a deal.
Nice.
And so I'd go in there at 3 in the morning, eat a baseball steak, and it was never very good. But I always had a great time going there.
Why 3 in the morning? Why are you eating steak at 3 in the morning?
Because I was hungry. This is like an after going out situation. And
steak
the lines,
after going out?
And the lines at my favorite Korean short rib stew spot would be too long. So I'd go to Pacific Dining Car and get myself a baseball steak. That was not very good.
Do you oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to ask what your least favorite cut of steak is.
I don't like those big ass like porterhouses.
You're talking about
or like tomahawks.
There's a difference between a T-bone and a porterhouse.
I said bullshit.
Oh my God, Nicole did a curse word.
BS. I think it's BS.
Pew, pew, pew. YouTube police coming in. Come find Nicole. Nicole, $10,000. Give it to YouTube police.
Please don't find me.
All right.
I have to feed my
family. Turn the fire hose on her. What I was saying.
I guess tomahawks are kind of overrated.
So
they're like rib from the rib. Though.
I mean, a tomahawk is a ribeye, but it's bone in with a French cut bone.
I think it's ridiculous.
I think there's a lot of these they're 9-inch thick tomahawks.
I don't need those.
I watched a video where I think one thing that irks me about steak in general is there's sort of culture behind doing everything we can to Guga Foods on YouTube. We love Guga, and I know. Listen, I love
like
watching his stuff. He seems like a really cool guy, and I like his things, and I would love to try his steak. But
I like how soft he looks.
It's the only food that you can sort of create an entire media empire on of just cooking that. I know he does more things. But so I watched this video. I'll tell you the video that I saw. I'll tell you the video that I saw. I'll tell you the video that I saw.
What?
It was somebody, they were cooking a tomahawk and they sous vide it to a certain temperature. And then they seared it off as you would. And then they nitrogen froze it.
I saw that video too.
And they're we're going to shut down the cooking process by nitrogen freezing it. And then we're dropping it into hot oil again.
And then we're nitrogen freezing it. I saw that exact video.
And that way we get the craziest crust with the most raw center. And I don't know, maybe I should find that level of craft cool, but I don't think it does anything to it. I don't know that I need the craziest crust on the outside of my steak. I don't know if that makes it better. And I know people will talk about the Maillard.
It's okay. It's okay. Hey.
It's tiring. Steak is exhausting.
Josh, it's not a big deal.
I'm tired. I'm so tired.
I know you are. I know. But let me tell you, it's not a big deal. If someone wants to, nitrogen freeze their steaks, let them.
No, I know. I'm letting them. I'm letting them. I know. It's just, in the tomahawk specifically, the tomahawk is the new filet mignon.
The tomahawk
is the new filet mignon, right?
I don't like tomahawks.
Big old barbarian. You got the Liver King out here. He's eating that. There are bodybuilders that literally... And these alpha male type influencers, they're not just out there being all I eat is steak and water, which there are some people that do that. They're literally now going, all I eat are 6 ribeyes a day. Ribeye specifically, tomahawk specifically, bone-in ribeye. It has become the new salient example of I'm a big bad man, and this is what men are supposed to eat. And sometimes my favorite steak dishes are salad.
Well, I'm not a girl, not yet a woman, and I love a good ribeye. So what does that say about me?
You're not like other girls, Nicole. You're different. You like whiskey and pizza.
I also love a good steak salad, but I like a blue cheese, cherry tomato, lettuce.
Yeah, I made that the other day. I made a date syrup vinaigrette too.
Yum.
And I found fresh figs.
Yum.
And I roasted fresh figs and honey, blue cheese. But my steak, here's another kind of steak that we've not talked about. It was invented in California, the Homer steak.
Tri-tip?
Tri-tip, baby.
I love tri-tip.
I think it
underrated.
I don't know. I think it might be bad. I think tri-tip might be bad. Not bad, ethically. You said the way I said that, you were is tri-tip canceled? Was tri-tip DMing minors? But
I don't think I've knowingly tried tri-tip before. I don't think I've ever gone somewhere and said, okay, I'll get the tri-tip. I think they're just hey, my uncle cooked this beef. Do you want some?
Yeah, and it's always tri-tip. Uncles love cooking tri-tip.
Uncles love tri-tip.
The funniest thing about tri-tip is literally shaped like a triangle, so it gets thinner at the bottom and then thicker at the top.
Yeah.
And most people, when they cook a full, a tri-tip wouldn't be a steak. You can cut it into steaks. It's pretty bad as a steak.
It's bad as a steak, yeah.
But when you roast it whole, and it's a big part of California barbecue, when you have a roast of beef, what's the first step you do to make sure it cooks evenly?
Truss it.
You truss it. You tie it up so it all has the same. Tri-tip is it's a triangle.
You can't trust a triangle.
You can't trust a triangle, right? You can't trust a triangle. So it's thinner at one end, which some people like because, in Brazilian barbecue on the churrascaria, right?
It's doneness. Well done is the tip part, and
Correct.
then the more so
some people like it, so it's good for feeding a family.
Yeah.
But I salt brined a tri-tip for 2 days. I stuffed it with garlic. I sous vide'd it for like 8 hours in the office. Pretty inconvenient for everybody, but I lost my sous vide machine at home. I seared it off, and I made a lovely like steak salad with it. I sliced the steak very, very thin, almost like roast beef.
Where's your sous vide machine?
You know?
What do you mean you lost it?
If somebody could send me a sous vide machine, that'd be great, because I really did lose it.
So what do we learn? What's the best cut of steak, Josh?
Rapid fire. Let's go through some other steaks real quick.
Oh, okay.
How do you feel about skirt?
Like it.
Love it.
In tacos.
Probably top 3. I don't even like skirt steak in tacos. I like costilla de res in tacos.
Okay, you're special.
A beef rib cut steak. That's what Sonora Town uses, and that's maybe the best steak experience.
Alrighty.
And great. Okay, New York strip. New York strip?
Eh.
I like it better as a roast.
Why do you keep touching me?
I like it better as a roast.
You keep touching me.
I don't mean to touch it. I mean
you're like really trying to like convince me.
No, I'm like
of your
I don't know, man.
claim
I'm trying to sell
right
you a
now.
car. Wait, what? This happens more when I'm hungover.
Oh yeah.
Have you noticed that?
I think you just need something to hold on to.
That makes sense. Dude. I'm shaking here. New York strip.
It's just okay.
It's just fine. Better as a roast. New York strip loin roast.
No, I don't think I've never had it as a roast.
Big fat cat cooks better at roasting it.
Okay.
That's what I like. What are other ones? T-bone, porterhouse.
Don't care about either of those.
2 steaks in one.
Get out of here.
Just give me one good steak.
Just
Don't
give me
put
one
2 steaks in
give
one.
me one margarita.
London broil.
Oh, boo.
Cut London broils a steak, just sear it off and go to town. You know, chuck roll. I don't know. I think a chuck roll is a big thing. We're out of steak cuts. What are the steak cuts are out there? Bavette? Bavette is great. Is that not the same as a hanger steak?
I don't know, man. Tri-tip. Let's see. For some reason, there's brisket on our freaking.
Yeah, that's not a steak at all. Man. That's like
prime rib is
steak.
there. Yeah, tenderloin, hanger. Oh, you can't have a beef Wellington without a fillet of beef.
A good fillet,
Fillet?
but then you cut it into steaks, and that's like filet. Right?
Yeah.
Not like filet mignon is only part. It's like a specific
good part.
of that.
Yeah.
That's good.
What else? Hanger.
Top sirloin.
Okay.
No, I'm sticking with my answer. I'm sticking that top sirloin is the single best cut of steak out there.
And I'm sticking to ribeye.
It's versatile.
Thank you for this lovely conversation. I don't think we're ever going to see eye to eye, but I respect you and I appreciate your views, sir.
This show is sponsored by BetterHelp.
Now, my brain's always racing. I guess that's what happens when you're constantly going on energy drink-fueled wild culinary adventures.
But in all seriousness, there are those times where we have thoughts and fears and anxieties, and our minds just keep racing throughout the day and all night.
Yeah, you ever find that just as you're trying to fall asleep, your brain suddenly won't stop talking? It's no fun lying in bed awake with those not-so-fun thoughts, and talking through those thoughts can be a big help. That's why Nicole and I think therapy is a great idea for anyone, whether you're currently going through some struggles or you just want a place to talk.
Therapy gives you a place to do that, so you can get out of your negative thought cycles and find some mental and emotional peace. And BetterHelp is a great way to take that first step. You can do it completely online and get matched with a licensed therapist, experiencing the benefits of therapy from the comfort of your own home.
Oh yeah, and taking proactive action with your mental health is just a mature, smart thing to do.
So get a break from your thoughts with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/hotdog today and get 10% off your first month.
That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/hotdog.
Go to war with bland cooking and start seasoning your damn food with the Mythical Kitchen Salt Well.
We're proud to finally stock a salt well that's ready to support you on your seasoning journey.
The Mythical Kitchen Salt Well features a laser-engraved wood top with suction rings for airtight closure and a wide marble base for swift salting.
Did you say suction rings?
I said suction rings.
Available now at mythical.com.
That was so good. It felt so advertisement-y. I loved it. All right, Nicole. For what you and I have to say, now it's time to find out what other wacky opinions are rattling out there in the universe. It's time for a segment we call
Opinions Are Like Casseroles.
But hey, before we get to that, we want to do our famous segment that everybody knows and loves, Review a Review, where we take one of your Apple Podcast 5-star reviews and read it on the show, and then we review your review. This is from Voltage Chick, 5 stars. Please read this. Josh and Nicole, I'll literally do a backflip in my car. No joke. Don't even begin to question me if you read this on the pod. As far as a 5-star rating, I'd give this one a 2 out of 5 stars. I love how passionate they are, but 1, they misspelled Nicole.
Okay, I have a bone to pick. My name is Nicole. There is no H anywhere in my name. Stop putting it in there. It doesn't exist.
Yeah, so that you lose 1 star for that. And then you lose 2 additional stars because I believe in safe defensive driving. Nicole, you know that. No backflips in the car. I don't even like to eat burritos in the car anymore because I had a mishap once where there was a hole in the bottom of the foil and I bit into the burrito and hot beans squirted onto my crotch.
Oh no!
And then I swerved a little bit because I had hot crotch beans. And
not the crotch beans.
But again, if you want us to roast your reviews, please go on Apple Podcasts. Give us 5 stars. We need it for our self-esteem, and it really helps us out. Do we know how? No.
But we appreciate it anyway.
It just looks kind of cool. It's like 4.7. Wow.
Thank you.
Cool. All right, reminder before we get into opinions or like casseroles, that is for audio only. So this is our sign off if you're on the video watchers. But Maggie, roll that first clip.
Hi, Josh and Nicole.
Hey.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
Ooh.
When I was in college one summer, I was really poor, and me and my buddy Kevin lived entirely on Arby's and honeycomb for an entire summer. That was all that we ate. So my question for you is, if you needed to survive an entire summer and could only eat from one fast food restaurant and have one cereal,
why are those
what
your
would
two
you
options?
choose? Thanks for all you do. I really love the show, and I really love everything Mythical does. Bye.
If you want to hear us answer that burning question, 1 fast food restaurant to survive and 1 box of cereal, go head over to Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever the heck you get your podcasts. That's our sign off for now. Thank you so much for stopping by. A hot dog is a sandwich. We got new episodes of our podcast out on audio every Wednesday, out on video every Sunday over on the Mythical Kitchen YouTube channel.
If you want to be featured on Opinions or at Casseroles, you can call us at 833-DOG-POD1. 833-DOG-POD1. I just need you to know that also I don't memorize anyone's phone numbers, just my own, my house, and this. I haven't memorized. I don't know David's phone number by heart. I don't know your phone number by heart. I don't know anybody's phone. I know this and my personal house and my own cell phone.
I know Deep. I know John. I know Deep's sister Roma. I know Chad. I know my grandma.
Wow.
And I know 1-833-DOG-POD1 to be featured on Opinions Like Casseroles. Check out our YouTube videos. We cook and stuff sometimes.
Yeah. We'll see you next time.
Bye-bye now.
Kisses.
Bezos.